They called him Foundling at the shelter, a label clipped onto an infant wrist like a price tag, then forgotten. No name, no address. Only a pale blanket stained with milk and something darker, and a square of paper folded into the hem. The paper stayed hidden for 20 years, stitched into the weave, a secret the blanket kept by design. This is a story about that paper. About a mother who left a note on her baby's blanket and walked away into a rain-soaked night. About the son who, 20 years later, peeled the stitches, read the words, and discovered that some goodbyes carry the shape of a crime. Before we dive in, don't forget to like this video, hit the subscribe button, and tell me in the comments section where you are watching from. Now let's begin. He grows up as Michael Reed, a name given by a woman who signed adoption papers with a trembling hand and taught him to boil pasta until it smelled like home. Michael learns the geometry of loss in quiet ways. How to fold a blanket just so. How to look at a photograph without expecting the person in it to look back. He keeps the blanket. He keeps the secret folded inside like a coin in a pocket. On his 20th birthday, the shelter's records, old, yellowed files digitized at last, are handed to a municipal archivist clearing out a closet. A clerk finds the original intake form and, out of a bureaucratic generosity, includes a scanned image with Michael's adoption file. He opens his email at midnight, the city asleep, and scrolls until he sees the photo, the blanket, the seal of the shelter, and the small square of fabric stitched into the corner. An old instinct, curiosity, or grief tugging like a loose thread, tells him to look. He pries at the hem. The stitches give with the reluctant crack of dried glue. He unfolds the paper. It is small, written in a hand that knows how to save ink. His name is not mine. It begins. If you are reading this, I have failed the easy things. I failed you and myself. Forgive the leaving. I ran because they were there. The scrawl narrows into cramped letters, then steadies. Names appear. H. Morrison. July 1999. Westbridge. A location scratched over until the ink bled and formed a dark halo. Michael reads the second paragraph, and his world shifts like a loose floorboard. The note tells a story in the voice of someone who cannot name herself. She writes of a principal who smiled with the teeth of a predator, of a teacher who used the dark of office hours as a cover, of an envelope passed under a table. They take, then sign, she writes. They take, then pay to keep the mouth shut. Her last lines are the clearest of all. If they ever hurt you, if they put their hands where they shouldn't, find the man with the silver lighter. He keeps receipts. He burns names. A silver lighter. Receipts. A phrase that feels like a breadcrumb. Michael spends the night reading the note as if it were a map. Every sentence is a match struck against a wet sky, potential flame, potential ruin. The handwriting is familiar, or rather the grammar. Clipped sentences, a rhythm like a heartbeat under strain. He remembers a lullaby, half remembered, hummed by the foster mother who raised him. He remembers the smell of turpentine in the shelter's craft room. He remembers the principal's portrait in faded frames lining the school corridor he never attended. He goes to the archives, to the microfilm room where the town's old newspaper retains its brittle face. He searches July 1999. The paper smells like dust and decisions. He reads about resignations that later became quietly explained by health reasons. He reads about a charity breakfast where the board praised itself for resolving internal matters. Names flicker and don't match the ones in the note, but the dates match the circled year. The deeper he goes, the more his feeling hardens into a suspicion. The note is not the rambling of a guilty mother. It is the beginning of evidence. Michael sleeps less. He learns to lean on coffee and the narrow focus of obsession. He speaks to an old woman who worked at Westbridge High and remembers a man who carried a lighter with a silver case. He was slick, she says. Kept all his receipts in a tin. Burned the copies, but he always kept the originals. Said paper held too much power. Metal and paper. The items the note told him to find. His search draws attention. A man in a coat watches him at the library. An email from an unknown address lands in his inbox. Some questions are better left buried. The message has a kind of velvet threat. Michael answers anyway. He is 20, and the idea of leaving questions unanswered sits poorly with the man. He is becoming a man stitched from a mother's absence and an old, stubborn need to know why. He follows the lighter's trail to an address on the edge of town, an estate with a hedge clipped like a jawline. The manor once belonged to the Morrison family, prominent donors to Westbridge school projects. The gate is open. The caretaker sees a young man with an earnest face and directs him toward a garage where estate auctions are cataloged and where, if one believes in coincidences, secrets are sometimes sold by the pound. Inside the garage, under a blue tarp, he finds boxes meticulous, labeled in a hand that finds comfort in order. He opens one. Receipts wrapped with string. Names. Dates. Amounts annotated with shorthand only accountants and liars share. He finds one receipt with a faint burn mark and a note in the same cramped hand. Paid to Hush July 1999, $3,200. The name beside it is a teacher's initials. The handwriting is the same. It is, suddenly, unbearably close to the handwriting in his blanket note. Someone else has opened these boxes before him. The cardboard edges are soft from handling. A business card slips from between the invoices, Morrison Investigations. The card is neat, gold foil stamped, but the email scrawled across the back is blackened, as if someone tried to scrub it off with a rag. The card's phone number is disconnected. He knows, with a certainty that feels like a current under his skin, that the crime is not a single violent act but a long design, a network of exchange where silence was currency and children were the cost. The note his mother left is not a confession. It is a ledger, an accusation, and a plea. When he emerges from the garage into the gray afternoon, a sedan idles where no sedan should. The driver watches him with the patient posture of someone who keeps appointments with inevitability. Michael walks faster. A shadow detaches from the car and walks toward him, a woman with a face like a closed book. She reaches out and hands him a folded photograph. On the back, in a handwriting he recognizes as the shelter's intake clerk's, is written, "To Michael, if you need to stop, stop now." He looks at the photo. It's of the shelter playground the day the blanket was found. An infant asleep on a bench, a woman's shadow stretching over the grass. In the corner of the photograph, almost missed, someone has scrawled a small silver circle the shape of a lighter and beneath it, an initial, H. The woman's lips barely move. "Some doors," she whispers, "close on their own when you push them." Michael folds the photograph into his pocket. The sky above the manor is the color of threat. He feels the weight of the blanket's paper in his thoughts, the memory of his mother's hand as if she is still at the hem, still holding the last line of the note against her chest. He will not stop. He cannot. The more the town insists that the past is dead, the more he hears the scratch of a pen that demands to be read. And yet, as he turns toward the lane that will take him back to the city, a car door closes behind him with the soft hush of a final page being turned. He glances over his shoulder, too late, as the sedan eases away. He thinks of the note's last line. "If they ever hurt you, find the man with the silver lighter." He reaches for his phone. 3 missed calls. No voicemail. An unknown number. The screen goes black. When the car disappeared that day, Michael Reed didn't chase it. He just stood there in the road, the photograph in his hand trembling under the drizzle. The woman's warning echoed in his ears, "Some doors close on their own when you push them." But he wasn't ready to let it close. Not yet. He'd spent 20 years wondering who his mother was, why she left him, and what truth she died to hide. And now, for the first time, he wasn't just chasing her story. He was standing inside it. Michael's apartment. Dim, cluttered. A corkboard pinned with photos, receipts, and the burned edge of the note from the blanket. He compared every piece of handwriting he'd found, the shelter logs, the receipts, the note she'd left him. All of it matched. His mother wasn't a runaway. She was a whistleblower. The receipts in the Morrison garage were payoff records. Hush money. And at the bottom of every page, the same embossed mark, a winged emblem, faint, pressed into the paper like a brand. Michael didn't know what it meant, but he was sure someone did. Morning light filters through blinds. A woman in her 60s sits across from him, Evelyn Kane, retired secretary from Westbridge School District. "You're looking for ghosts, son. The Morrison case died long ago. Then why are people still warning me to stop asking? Because the people who paid for silence are still alive. And they've built their lives on the backs of those they broke. Asterisk." She slides him a napkin. On it, a name scribbled in pencil. Harlan Pierce. That's the man with the silver lighter. A parking lot outside a law firm. Michael waits in his car, camera in hand. The glow of a cigarette flares across the dark. Then the click of a lighter. Silver. Polished. Expensive. The man is older now, mid-50s, sharp suit, slick grin. The lighter flicks open and closed with practiced rhythm. Michael zooms in. It's engraved. An emblem of wings. The same mark burned into every receipt. Michael follows Harlan Pierce through the rain to his car, snapping photos. Pierce looks up suddenly like he felt the camera watching. For a moment, their eyes meet through the glass. And then the car engine roars to life. Michael ducks. His heart hammers. When he looks again, the car is gone. But a single envelope lies on the ground where it had been parked. Inside, one photograph. A baby wrapped in a familiar blanket. And beneath it, a short line of text typed in courier font. You were never meant to find me. Michael's apartment. Later that night. Rain on windows, laptop open, files glowing in dim light. He runs the name Harlan Pierce through public databases. Nothing. No corporate records. No property under his name. Not even a tax ID. Whoever he was, he'd erased himself long ago. Michael exhales, defeated, until something flickers on his screen. A web forum. An anonymous thread titled The Blackwing Network. He clicks. A post from 2003, buried deep in the archive. They paid us in cash. Told us to destroy everything. But the lighter was his. That's how he signed. Posted by user E_M_1999. Michael stares at the username. The initials match the name from his mother's note. Yem. Could it be her? He scrolls further down the thread. Someone replied just a few months ago. If you're looking for Yem, she's not dead. She's waiting where it all began. Westbridge. Michael stands at the rusted gates of the Westbridge ruins, now fenced off and overgrown. The faint outline of the old-school slogan still visible on a half-burned sign. Building tomorrow's leaders. He squeezes through the fence, blanket in hand. The air smells of ash and rain. Every footstep echoes like a ghost's heartbeat. Inside the ruins, something catches the light, a reflection from under a collapsed beam. He kneels and pulls out a metal box, half rusted, its lock melted shut. He pries it open with a rock. Inside, a stack of photographs, sealed bags of old film negatives, and a cassette tape labeled July 1999 Morrison Boardroom. Michael's hands shake as he picks up the tape. Someone coughs behind him. He spins around. The silhouette of a man stands in the doorway, tall, still, half shrouded by the gray morning fog. You shouldn't be here, Michael. The voice is calm, measured, familiar. Michael freezes. The man steps into the light. It's Detective Harris, the same investigator who handled Westbridge's old disappearance cases. But something's wrong. He's not holding a badge. He's holding the silver lighter. You really shouldn't have found that note. For 20 years, he searched for the truth about his mother. He never imagined. The man who promised justice was the one she ran from. The story continues in the next video.